In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today we are going to get a great review about voice AI and what some of the best applications are currently for, I would imagine, for sales teams and some other high emotionally sensitive areas of business. And my guest today is a return guest from a company called Claritative, and he is a self-proclaimed PM ninja and globetrotting product leader from his beginnings as a web developer to leading groundbreaking projects like the digital twin at Rolls-Royce. Sean has consistently pushed the boundaries in tech and business strategy, and he's going to talk to us today about Claritative and what's going on there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I appreciate you for having me again.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your time, and thanks for making some time for a second conversation. I'm just anxious to hear about what's changed over the last 3 or 4 months since we last talked in voice, in capturing voice and capturing sentiment, and how people are applying what you're doing at Claritative.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, like our whole thing has always been to understand conversation, right? So, like business runs in conversation, be it sales, be it, like product, be it stakeholder, board meetings, workshops. And then how do you actually, like make sure that what's being said during those activities is actually what, drives the right action. The right action that will actually deliver a specific objective or goal. And so that's always been our background. What we've seen, at least the last kind of a couple months for us, there's you see a lot of these different note takers and things like that for virtual conversations.
Yep.
But there's not really enough, or there's not anything that can help you generate insights from in person, right? So yeah, there's tools like Pod that captures and takes notes, but specifically for trade shows, for conferences, like those sales conversations in trade shows and conference, right? Like you have an exhibitor that goes to that exhibits at it, they spend thousands of dollars to exhibit at the event. But they talk to hundreds of people, and all they can really get out of it is maybe a list of contact information, like name, email, company, phone number, and maybe some scribbles that says like call this person or read. And like after the show, maybe 2-3 days or maybe a day after the show, you're like you're going through that list and you're like, yeah, I think I remember this conversation, but I have a list of all. I have a whole group of all of these business cards, but trying to understand context on what each of those conversations actually, like what you discussed, what you talked about, what are the goals, all of that is missed. I truly believe that to generate ROI from this trade shows and events, being able to understand like each of those attendee booth like traffic conversations is
for sure. And right? So how do you capture those? How would you capture a trade show?
Yeah, no, we actually this is which is kind of new for us as well. So we have this device that you basically wear like a lanyard,
okay,
and automatically detects when there is, like a conversation. It automatically
Yeah.
detects voice. So it captures, like every person that you talk to, without having to worry about, like taking down notes, without having to worry about trying to remember, like the key details, the pain points that was discussed. All of that is captured. And aside from that, it aggregates all of that data. So within Claritive, you can actually, like see, you'll have a dashboard to say, you talk to this company, this company, this company. Oh, and this
Wow.
company, this is what they care about.
Yep.
This company, this is what they care about. And within that dashboard, let's say you talk to, like, I don't know, for example, I don't know, this is just an example. For example, you talk to, like, Apple is a attendee at a conference or a trade show, and you talk to 5 different people from Apple.
Right.
Like, it actually, that a company dashboard will have each person that you spoke with, like, what was that discussion about, what they care about. So then you have a holistic view. It's like, okay, this is, this is what Apple is.
Interesting. Yeah.
Again, just as an
Yeah.
example.
Wow. So that's interesting. So you develop a capture device for people to wear now, and that speaks directly. Do you have to plug it in, or do you do it by Wi-Fi, or how do you get that into the software?
No, so right now it's, we're always very agile in our development. So right now it's just like you basically, you're right, you plug it in, you take all of those files, and then you put it into the platform. It's actually fairly
Yep.
seamless. It takes maybe 5 seconds. Maybe the longest time is depending on how fast your connection is between your computer and the internet. But yeah, it's fairly straightforward. And after that, the brain basically does all of the hard work of categorizing, tagging, aggregating, and analyzing. It still has the same, like, functionality as we had before with Claritive, where it identifies each person by their
Yep.
voice. So each person is actually kind of like, okay, well, this is this person, this is this person. And what's great is, if, like, depending on how you had that conversation. For example, if you go, hey, well, what's your name? They say, like, oh, I'm Sean. Oh, how are you doing, Sean? The platform actually identifies that speaker as Sean, so you don't even have to do
Amazing.
anything. And then the more, of course, the better you're at kind of like doing this discovery during the show, the much richer the data that you get from
Sure.
from the platform.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So then, is it? Let's see. I guess, do you have some compliance around, like, HIPAA or other things? So could this be applied to into medicine, or is that part of the roadmap?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely part of the roadmap. We're actually having conversations with some companies that want to use our platform for those types of engagements, right? But like, from a trade show perspective, there's 2 main kind of like rules that we look at, and it's dependent per
Yeah,
state.
sure.
So it's either it's like a one person agreement or all person agreement. Things like where, like, one person needs to know that's being recorded, or everybody that's part of that conversation needs to know that they're being recorded, and they have to agree, of course.
Yep.
And the other kind of like aspect of the regulation is there an expectation of privacy?
Right.
So, for example, like, is it like in a closed door meeting where what I'm telling you is there is an expectation of privacy?
Right.
In a trade show or a conference, like a booth where there's so many people around you, and you're talking, like, like, there's very, I would say, minimal expectation of
Sure.
privacy. So there's some, those are definitely good things to consider. But the other way that, like, just to, I guess, cover yourself, is, you ask people, hey, is it okay if I record it, just so that like that we can I can make sure that I'm, what we talked about, like what you're interested in, I can, like, I can properly capture. So when I follow up with you in a day or so, it's exactly what you want, and I can provide you the right data, the right information
Yeah.
after the show.
No, that's an interesting innovation in that we're all very used to having these meetings recorded now. So it's very similar to what we're dealing with every day. Uh, so then once the upload happens, then what are the 3 or 4 things that happen inside the software so that there's value produced for the company that's using that?
No, for sure. So the first thing is it generates kind of what we call an analysis of the day. So the person that's wearing the device, it will analyze how many people they spoke with, like how many companies they spoke with, how they perform, sentiment, of course, looks at like, throughout the day, looks at the sentiment, like of their voice using tone
Yep.
of voice. And it really identifies each person. So like, oh, you spoke with, let's say, Jason, you spoke with Mark, you spoke with Lisa, you spoke with Jennifer. Oh, and if you click on, let's say, Jason, it will kind of like summarize and identify the key things that you've discussed with Jason, and what, like, I always call it like actionable
Uh-huh.
recommendations, and how you can do better, or how you can move that conversation with
That's
Jason
cool.
forward. So that's kind of like the first part of like what it does. Then it aggregates all of that data. So it identifies like, okay, well, Jason is from, like this company, and Lisa is from this company. And then it looks at it, like at a holistic level, right? So what does, from the conversation I had with Jason, how does that kind of drive the conversation that I need to have in the future with this account and this account and this account? So again, the idea is, by being able to capture and analyze all of that data, then you can perform better follow-ups, right?
Yeah.
And within the platform, the last thing that it does is, like, it helps coach, right? So meaning, like, this is the company, this is what they care about, here is the outcome that can get achieved by doing that, and here are some solutions that would help in, like, probably like doing your offer. So again, your follow up becomes, hey, we met, like, instead of saying like, hey, we met at a show, and just to remind you, here is what we
Right.
do, to, hey, like, we met at the show, and I remember that, like, this is what, like, you guys, this is what we discussed. And I believe this is, like, what the goal that you want to achieve. Here are some problems, the pain that you were experiencing, and here is how we can help you with those, with that goal, with those
Yeah.
problems. I mean, you compare both of them, right? Like, the other one is a little bit more personalized, and I think that's what AI kind of like enables. Is that, like, like a hyper personalization of your conversations. It doesn't. I always say it doesn't replace the person, right? Because
Yeah.
the person needs to still have, he still needs to be great at discovery, at being able to build empathy and build rapport. But like, what AI is great at is to be able to take that conversation and then give insights and recommendations that, again, the person can, okay, well, this is how I'm going to approach this
Yeah.
person. This is how I'm going to approach this company. It's
I
almost like a
love it.
superpower.
Yeah, I love that you're able to help build sentiment for an entire company for people who maybe haven't been talking about your solution, and so you're able to kind of get all those concerns into one conversation. That's
Yep.
pretty cool too. Wondering how many languages you're into right now.
So right now, we, like, what we've done is English as kind of like the main platform, because however, we have tested in several language, Hindi, Farsi, a lot of the Asian language. The only, I think, caveat of our platform is that the main language has to be one language, meaning it either is, like Korean, or
Uh-huh.
Japanese, or Spanish. I think there is still uh, kind of like a challenge with when you do multiple, like like you start in English, then like you speak in Spanish, and then you go through a different language, and then it gets like, okay, well, like it can be confused.
No, that makes sense. Well, how long has it been since you released this new implement?
Probably about like a month and a half since we started really kind of like getting understanding of the market, right? And like so we went to a whole bunch of shows. In fact, what's we just recently last week went into a partnership with a conference organizer
Oh, cool.
to be a vendor, to be a kind of like an exclusive provider
Love it.
for this for their next big show. And which is great, right? Because like that's the goal. It's like like if you have the ability to provide this service, it's almost game changing, because a lot of these organizers, a lot of the things that's available are sort of like QR code scanners. Like like if you want to be innovative, you want to be kind of like forward thinking. Like you need to be able to capture and action these conversations.
So at that point,
like I said,
you kind of become like a show utility, just like electricity and the table. Only you're helping them with the clarifying leads and who they should be following up with, and helping to prioritize action. I love
exactly. Yeah, and context on all of those conversations. So, like I always say that the most important the most important information, or the most important thing that you can get from all of these shows, are the conversations that you have with all the attendees, and like and identifying like what those are about and who to actually engage, right? And Claritative enables that. We can then like so like the path to ROI. If like let's say like by having this like this solution, then your ability to be able to close and to actually engage and to shorten that sales cycle with all of those attendees become much higher.
Well, I love it. It's very innovative and interesting solution to a problem we've all had over the years with the trade shows. So congratulations on a smart product.
Thank you. And it's like we got into this realization is because like we've exhibited at a couple of shows the last couple of years, and it was always a problem. And I was like, we're doing I was like, it's almost like an aha moment. It's like we're doing conversation intelligence to be able to understand conversations. And then I was like, but there's nothing for trade shows. Like, why can't we just use the platform we already use for virtual calls, for Zoom calls, for sales, for sales calls, and any of these calls, and just do it for this space. And then once we started showing people, once we like we attended a couple trade shows and exhibits, and just to kind of like understand the customer, right? Understand the exhibitors. Like everybody got like was like the excitement that we get from from people we talk to is it's amazing. And in fact, the last show that we were at, that we exhibited at Customer Connect here in Vegas, one of the exhibitors was like, "Why wasn't this offered before the show? I would have used it already."
There you go. That's good feedback. Well, that's really exciting. I'm interested to see how it goes for you. Congratulations on getting that deal with the event planner. And if people want to get in touch with you and talk about what you're doing at Claritative, how do they do that?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's Claritative.ai is our website. But you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. So I'm, like that's our main social presence is on LinkedIn. So yeah, send me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to engage.
Love it. Well, thanks very, very much. I appreciate your time today, Sean, and I look forward to catching up with you again in a few months to see what else you've got that's new.
Of course. Thanks, Emmanuel. Really appreciate you for having me.
Thank you. Well, what an innovative solution to a challenge of keeping track of conversations at trade shows, and then being able to bring out both sentiment and the people maybe from the same company who you would talk to, and seeing maybe what they haven't talked about with each other. So interesting innovations in voice AI. I hope it was valuable for you today, and I hope that you take some time to find an AI solution or two, put them into your workflow, and free up some time to spend with your friends and family, or to get outside and get some sun. It's Emmanuel Rose. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.